What's going on, guys? It's Diamond Dan back again with Fantasy Football Focus 1. So today we're going to talk about draft grades, all right? The first division we're going to talk about is the AFC East, all right? So the Bills, the Dolphins, the Pats, and so on, and the Jets. So let's kick it off first with the Bills. So now, technically, the Buffalo Bills had a first-round draft pick, all right? But they had to trade it, or they didn't have to trade it, but they did trade it, and more, for Stefon Diggs. Now, Stefon Diggs is a talented receiver from the Vikings, all right? Now, but when you trade, you got to ask yourself, is Stefon Diggs worth a first-round pick and more? Because they gave up a lot to give him. Now, personally, I would much rather have Justin Jefferson as my first-round pick instead of paying Stefon Diggs $14 million a year to play half a season every year because he's hurt, right? But, I get that he's hurt, but to play devil's advocate, he's a proven top 10 wide receiver when he's healthy and focused. So when he's healthy, he's worth a late first-round pick. But the question is he going to stay healthy? Only time will tell, right? So overall, I get it why you trade the first. So now let's move on to the next. Now with the 54th overall pick in the second round, the Buffalo Bills selected Epenesa, all right, defensive end out of Iowa. Now Epenesa was the 20th ranked overall prospect in the 2020 draft for edge rushers, and the Bills got him for pick 54. All right, so Epenesa was a draft steal when you really think about it. He's a great football player. He's 6'6", 280 pounds. He's tough. He's powerful, and one of the most productive ends in college last year. Okay, so the guy didn't quit. Iowa breeds some pretty tough players, and the only reason he didn't go top 20 in this draft was because he had a bad showing at the combine. Okay, and Epenesa doesn't have those elite athleticism skills that some of the guys do. But to counter that argument, he had a 31% win rate for when he was rushing from inside the interior. So at the D tackle position, he had a 31% win rate, which is awesome, right? And he doesn't even play the position. So it just goes to show how versatile Epenesa is. He's powerful and overall just a draft steal, right? So this is a great pick, Buffalo, getting him in the second round. Then in the third round, the Bills selected Zach Moss, the running back out of Utah. Now, Moss ran a 4.65 at the NFL Combine, which is not good, my friend, right? I mean, if you think running back, you think 4.65, you think slow, right? But guess who else ran a 4.65 at the Combine? Kareem Hunt. And yes, Kareem Hunt was an elite player in 2017 in a breakout. I think he had the rushing title in 2017 before he got suspended. Okay, he was a Pro Bowler, all that stuff. Now, I will say this. Zach Moss is a beast, all right? And I believe he might take that starting job from Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is a good running back, but I think Moss is way more elusive. So, and I shouldn't say way more because Singletary is very elusive. But Moss was the most elusive running back in college football last year. Okay, so this goes to show. That's being the most elusive running back out of 119 Division I schools. All right, so 119 running backs, he was the most. He was the most elusive. Pro Football Focus had him ranked as the second best overall running back in this draft, and some scouts even had him as their number 1 RB. Now, I didn't have him as my number 1, but he was definitely a top 3, top 4. Now, Moss runs as hard as anyone in college football. He's the cousin of the great Santana Moss, so he has those proven bloodlines as well. So he's going to be a good back in the NFL. So that's another solid pick for the Bills. Then in the 5th round, they took a good and accurate QB in Jake Fromm. Now, Fromm from Georgia, he's kind of small, but that doesn't really matter. Okay, I mean, ask Russell Wilson. Again, 5'10", 6-foot quarterbacks, they can still play. But Fromm will be a great backup QB no matter what. And also, just to say Josh Allen gets hurt from that perspective, Fromm can step in and play well for the Bills and I think win a few games for him. But after the Jake Fromm pick, the Bills kind of fizzled out, right? But still, it was a good, solid draft overall. The Bills, and then, I think they're going to make a serious run for the division this year. And I think they might even take the division. So I'm going to give the Bills an overall B+ for their draft. Good draft. All right, so now let's talk about the Miami Dolphins. Now, the Dolphins had a lot of draft capital this year, okay? And an opportunity going into the 2020 draft. And at the same time, they didn't disappoint. All right, if you watch the draft, they killed it for the most part. We're going to talk about in detail right now, but again, they did a good job. So the Dolphins had the world and I guess they'd say faked us out, thinking that they were going to take Justin Herbert with the 5th overall pick. That's all you heard about it, right? And as much as I like Herbert, when Tua's healthy, he's a lot better quarterback, hands down, than Herbert, okay? Now, Tua, to me, is an elite Russell Wilson type of quarterback who can do it all. And when Tua is healthy, some people even rate him higher than Joe Burrow. Now, I don't totally disagree with that opinion, but for me, it's a coin flip, all right? I think they're both 1A type of quarterbacks. They're the best of the best, all right? And if I had a gun to my head and I was like, hey, you got to make a decision, but the Dolphins, I don't know. I couldn't make a decision. I really couldn't. But the Dolphins got their franchise QB. This was an awesome pick. They got their guy. Then with the 18th pick in the first round, the Dolphins selected Austin Jackson, the big offensive tackle out of USC. Now, I like the big offensive tackle out of USC. He has a lot of potential and an awesome skill set, right? Good kick step, all that. He just needs to develop a little bit more. Now, which under Brian Flores in his new leadership, I think he will. Okay, so I do think that Jackson will eventually be the Dolphins' starting right tackle, right? So another good pick. Then after that, the Dolphins selected a solid man coverage corner in Noah Igbinoghene. Sorry if I butchered that last name. But the corner out of Auburn. You know, he again, it's a late first round pick. He's going to be great for their coverage and their skill set. So I know a lot of people know who he is, but still a good pick overall, especially when you watch the tape. All right. And then the second round, the Dolphins came back and they selected the most nastiest run blocker in the draft in Robert Hunt. All right, the guard out of Louisiana. Okay, now this dude is a D tackle and linebacker killer in the run game. All right, I totally love this pick. When I did a lot, at first I was like, really? And at the same time, when I didn't deep dive into him more, I saw how nasty he was and how good of a run blocker he is. The Dolphins are going to want to run the ball this year. They're going to make up for 2019. So I love this pick. And the way Hunt plays, he's going to help change the Dolphins' offensive line in a big way from day one. Then with the Dolphins' second pick in the second round, they selected Raekwon Davis, the defensive end out of Alabama. Now, fantasy football fans out here, let me ask: does this pick look familiar? It does, right? Because yes, yours truly selected Davis in my own mock draft that I conducted for the Dolphins a few weeks back. All right, so they must have been watching my videos. But now Davis has missed some time over the last 2 years just because he hasn't been healthy and he hasn't been on top of his game. But when the 6'7" D lineman is and he's on top of it, he's a nasty guy, man. He's big and he's scary. If he gets serious, he'll be a Pro Bowl player, 100%. All right, it just depends on whether or not he's going to be serious. So I really think he'll be a difference for the Dolphins. With what he just got to buy into what Flores is selling, and I think he will. All right, and if he's not, he won't be there. Then in the third round, the Dolphins took Brandon Jones, safety out of Texas. Now, I don't think Jones will be an elite starter, but he plays with heart. He hits when he needs to. I don't think has the speed to play corner in the NFL. I don't think he can. He struggled a little bit when he matched up with elite tight ends in the league. So again, he can't do that for the most part. But I still think he'll be a good situational safety. All right, when you're running three safeties, 3-3-5 stuff like that. And I think he's going to be an awesome special teams player too. Okay, because the kid's got heart. He plays hard. Then the Dolphins came back in the fourth round and kept, the Diamond Dan approach and kept building in the trenches. So with their fourth round pick, the Dolphins selected Solomon Kindley, another nasty run blocking guard out of Georgia. Again, now Kindley is just like Robert Hunt. Kindley's violent. He's aggressive in the run game. Now, after Miami selected Kindley, I realized that they weren't messing around when it comes to rebuilding the offensive line. So this was another good pick. Awesome job with that one. And then now, with this next pick, I think the Dolphins won the draft with. And this is why I think they had one of the strongest drafts, hands down, because in the fifth round, they were able to get Curtis Weaver, the defensive end at Boise State. Now, he's a first-round talent, okay? Weaver was the 26th ranked best overall prospect on Pro Football Focus's board. Okay, out of every prospect, he's 26th. And he was also the third best overall rated edge rusher in the 2020 draft. Weaver's had amazing production the last 2 years at Boise State. He posted better pass rushing grades than any other DN in this draft. That's even better than Chase Young. So when rushing the passer, Curtis Weaver got there more than Chase Young. All right, I get it's two different conferences, but still, the win rate's the win rate. So obviously that's impressive. Now the reason Weaver fell in the draft was because he lacks that burst and elite athleticism, but he has the power, he has bend, he really knows how to rush the passer better than any other DN in this draft, in my opinion. So in my opinion, he was an absolute steal in the fifth round. And I'm ashamed that the NFL let him get to the fifth round, but this was a steal for the Dolphins, and they won it because of this. So the Dolphins were able to get their franchise QB as well as completely rebuild their offensive line and defensive line in one draft. They also got some players to make their strength stronger, make their team stronger immediately. So overall, I give the Dolphins an A-. Okay, so they had an awesome draft and they deserve that A-. And obviously the Pro Scouts and NFL and Pro Football Focus graded them the same. All right, so on to New England Patriots. So as always, the New England Patriots came out fire in the draft. Bill made some awesome trades, securing the Chargers' second round and third round picks for trading his first. He totally robbed them. And he did good with those picks. It wasn't crazy good, but he did good. But they didn't do too much after that. So in this draft, Bill passed on some proven talent that I didn't really agree with, but let's just deep dive into it anyways. So in the second round, the Patriots selected Kyle Duggar. He's an unknown Division II safety who has great athleticism. Great. And he's a big guy. 6'2", 6'3". He balled at the Senior Bowl. So he might be a Division II guy, but he showed he could play with Division I talent. So him showing that he can hang, automatically it's an overall good pick. All right. I think when he gets with Bill, he's a smart guy. Bill will have him starting here soon. Then at the end of the second round, the Pats kept building the defense and selected edge rusher at Josh Uche out of Michigan. He fits New England scheme perfectly. All right, he could play the run. He can win one-on-ones, especially when rushing the passer. And also, he could play some pass coverage as well. And he's a fairly big guy, so he's a good pick for in their scheme as well. Then after selecting Uche, they took Anthony Jennings. He's an edge rusher from Bama, which was an okay pick. All right. Also they took Devin Asiasi and Dalton Keenan, both tight ends. Now, even though Asiasi can move the chains in the passing game, he's probably the best run blocking tight end in the draft, I would say. And I still think there was better talent out there that Bill could have taken with these picks. So in my opinion, overall, the Pats draft was kind of very middle of the pack, all right? And you're saying that about the great Big Belichick, but it's the truth, all right? I have to knock him when I have to. And I think that he could have done better. So Pro Football Focus and the NFL gave Bill and the Patriots a B overall, but I'm going to give them a B- at best, all right? I just think that with the picks they had, they should have gotten better talent. Then on to the New York Jets, to sum it up. All right, so now the New York Jets usually disappoint in the draft, I'll be honest. But I will say, in this year, it was different. It was. Then with the 11th overall pick, the Jets took Mekhi Becton. Now, if you watched the Combine, this guy stood out a lot. He was a gigantic offensive tackle out of Louisville. Becton is the most athletic, agile, quick-footed, 6'7", 360-pound tackles I've probably ever seen. All right? To be 6'7", 360 move like that, it's unheard of. Now, I get why they took him at 11, and I like his tape as well. He had good tape, and I do think Becton will be an awesome starter in the NFL for years to come. But at the same time, I don't think he's on the same elite level that a Jedrick Wills or Andrew Thomas is. Okay, but I still like the pick, and it was a solid pick for the Jets. Now, I really like what the Jets did in the second round as well. So after selecting the biggest, most athletic tackle in the draft, they then decided to select one of the biggest wide receivers and most athletic receivers in the draft. All right, and that is Denzel Mims. Okay, now Mims might not be an elite overall wide receiver prospect like Judy, Ruggs, Lamb, or even Justin Jefferson. And Justin Jefferson got him too. But he can be very special if he develops as a route runner. Okay, now he's still a project, but he's had some elite physical traits. All right, and if the Jets are smart, they will really focus on developing Mims. Mims is 6'3", 250 pounds, and runs he ran a 4.3 in the combine. All right, that's lightning quick for a guy that big. All right, he's going to be a touchdown specialist in the red zone for Sam Darnold this year, and this was another great pick. Now, one of my favorite picks in the whole draft was who they took next. And with the 68th pick in the third round, the Jets selected Ashtyn Davis, the safety out of Cal. Now, if you don't know, Davis is a freak athlete in all aspects, okay? He's a former track star who has ideal safety size and is super productive. Pro Football Focus even named him the best single high safety in this draft class, all right? And ranked him as the 33rd overall best prospect. Now, the Jets were able to get him in the third round. Now, if you really think about it, Jamal Adams and Ashtyn Davis together, because they let Marcus May go, will be one of the best safety tandems day one, I think, in the league. So, if Davis wasn't hurt at the NFL Combine, he would have been a first-round pick, 100%. Now, because I don't know if there was more quicker off-the-ball safety, I mean, it's a strong pick. Now, he's a ball hawk as well, all right? And honestly, I'd have to say one of my favorite all picks in the draft, especially in the third round. Then after that, the Jets selected Jabari out of Florida in the third round. So Jabari is a freak athlete at the DM position who can be an elite star at the next level. Now, he is a freak athlete, like I said. But Jabari still has a lot of growing to do, okay? But he did great when he was out there at Florida. Then after selecting Jabari, the Jets then selected Michael Perine, the running back out of Florida. Now, Perine's a good running back, and he's someone who will be a serviceable starter. Now, I don't think he's going to take the job from Le'Veon Bell, but he will be a solid backup for years to come, and if, say, Bell was to get hurt, he would be good. He's got vision, and he could play football, all right? Now, overall, I really like what the Jets did in the draft, and to be honest, this might even be one of the best drafts I've ever seen for the Jets. Now, where I think the Jets had the better draft even than the Patriots, right? And that's rare. I never see the Jets do better than the Patriots in the draft. So, but they did in this year. I'd have to give it to them, okay? So overall, I'm going to give the Jets a B+, all right? So solid draft. I see they got a lot of promise with this draft class. All right, guys. So that was it for the AFC East. Leave the comments below. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button. I'll talk to you on the next one.